analogy here. But the leap forward is not just one really large agent, one really large cell. It's many agents, right? Coordinating, specializing, dividing up tasks and doing them in parallel, and becoming a system made of many. And so one agent was a single cell. Many coordinating is an entire system or an entire organism, which kind of leads straight to the obvious question and sort of why many of you guys are here today. What actually is a multi-agent system? Right? An agent itself, right? A simple agent is an LLM using tools in a loop. It thinks, it might call a tool, it could read a result, revise itself, and then ultimately return some output or decide what to do next. A multi-agent system is several of these things working together in tandem. One really common pattern that we see is sort of an orchestrator worker, right? A lead agent will sort of read some kind of maybe user query. It could make some sort of plan. It can also spawn sub-agents that can call their own tools, each having their own tasks. And then it has its own context window and so forth. These sub-agents can work in parallel, as you can sort of see by this graph. And they hand their findings back to this initial lead orchestrator, which will then synthesize the answer ultimately and return it back to the user in some form. This is how Claude's own research feature actually works. Usually there's a lead agent, fires off a bunch of sub-agents that do its own form of exploration. And kind of the next logical question is why sub-agents, why multi-agent systems? This is a good amount of complexity, and really it's because coordination beats raw size past a certain point. We saw this in biology, we're seeing this now with these agentic systems. Anthropic's multi-agent research sort of setup that I mentioned that has a lead agent with a bunch of parallel sub-agents beat a singular agent on one of their internal research evals by 90%. And the next logical question is, again, why? One is breadth, right? You can have multiple sub-agents explore different arms simultaneously. Each specific sub-agent can own its own sort of slice of research before actually reporting back. Another is collective intelligence, right? So the analogy here is that, as individual humans, humans have gotten smarter over the years, but societies are where we have actually seen large exponential advances in research. And I like to kind of think of this as almost a justification for multi-agent setups as well. And as we mentioned, right, complexity is very difficult. And managing this is equally as difficult. There's not really a fixed path to evaluating a swarm of sub-agents. Given maybe the same multi-agent system, and given the same input twice, it can take two completely different, maybe valid routes to the same answer. Maybe one run calls a subset of tools, another run maybe goes through 10 sources instead of 3, ultimately arriving at a very similar answer. So grading the steps isn't necessarily the optimal path forward. The trick is to really split evaluation into kind of two separate jobs. One being scoring the ultimate outcome. Did it get the right result? Was something hallucinated towards the end? And then two is also using an LLM judge against some kind of rubric with a bunch of heuristics that you define yourself. And then sort of on the other side is actually instrumenting this process. You can't really improve what you can't actually see and visualize. So being able to trace each handoff, as well as trace each sub-agent to note behaviors, catch failures, and ultimately iterate on your multi-agent system is really crucial. And that's sort of what we've been doing at Weights and Biases for a long time now. Frontier labs, quant firms, folks in hospitals, biopharma, life sciences, all use Weights and Biases to monitor their experiments, monitor their agent development, as well as evaluate how those things are going, both in development and in production. And what Nico's going to show you very shortly is one of our flagship products, which is Weave, which allows you to trace agent behavior across whatever application you're building, whether that is an agent-powered chatbot or even a coding agent, or maybe even just a productivity agent that you're using for yourself. You can actually capture the inputs and outputs of each step that agent is taking to arrive at a result and evaluate the ultimate output, as well as tool trajectory and many other aspects of agent behavior. And we also aim to make this pretty easy for you to get started. So we integrate with a lot of frameworks, as well as LLM providers and agent SDKs, in order to make it really easy for you to do this tracking almost instantaneously. And then Nico will sort of show how that's actually done. And I think we can just jump right into it.
Cool, yeah, thanks, Uma. Cool, yeah, so I have not a lot of time now, but we're just gonna give you a very short demo of how, generally you can start off with a very simple multi-agent system and how you can trace and evaluate it in Weave, specifically. So before starting, who is tracing, who has already traced in the past some kind of application? 3 people? Okay, 10. All right, cool, so this will be very important for everyone in order to really optimize your multi-agent system. So what we'll be looking for in the end is not just some kind of vibe-coded multi-agent system, ideally, but something that you evaluated and optimized and that is actually better for the specific use case than a single agent. And so one thing I would kind of recommend reading here as a good starting point is this very nice article by Anthropic, which Uma kind of explained, but it kind of explains why in their deep research agent, there's different multi-agents make a lot of sense. The intuition of like this growing is just you can spend more tokens on this complex problem if you split up the context window across different sub-agents. And then there's a couple of other points as Uma mentioned. One very cool thing that I'll just quickly show you is dynamic workflows. And this came out while we were flying in from San Francisco. Who has used dynamic workflows from Anthropic? Yeah, cool. So this is based on Opus 4.8, and you can also use it with Opus 4.7. But the cool thing is that it gives you a pretty good understanding of potential steps for a multi-agent system that are pretty easy to start off with, just generally talking. I mean, just not going to be an Anthropic pitch here, but just it's very easy to start. So, there's sub-agent skills and workflows now. And the workflows, the idea is that you kind of outsource the orchestration layer into a script, and then the model can actually modify the script and rerun the script as the orchestration layer. And how that works with Weave, just to show you that real quick, let me just show you here real quick. Can you see? Yeah. So today, I basically just I built like a small workflow as a multi-agent system to go through all my Slacks. There's a lot of just a very, very simple case, right? But the cool thing is all I need to do is I basically just need to ask, can you please go through my Slack? I have an MCP connected, and then I tell it, use it as a workflow. And if you do that, it will show up in Claude Code, and then you can say it, either you have to actually explicitly mention the workflow, or you tell it to actually do parallel tasks at the same time, and then it will try to trigger this automatically, like intelligently. And yeah, then what happens, let me just see if this actually works. So this is what you'll see there. Okay, it's down here. All right, so it basically prompts you here. The cool thing is you can run it. Let's see if this actually runs through now. And what it creates this kind of dynamic view here where you can see different multi-agents, different sub-agents trying to go for different tasks, to accept a bunch of things. And these are all different scores that are done at the same time. So it goes through all my messages, scores them each individually, and then comes back to the main orchestration layer. And they just built like a nice UI on top of it, so you can see how they're being scored at the same time and so on. Oh, let's switch in auto mode here actually. Oops. And then this is basically just a very simple example of how, if you want to start today and you have no idea, you could go with something like Crew AI or something, but you can also just go with the Claude SDK and then use a workflow. And that already gives you a pretty good foundation to start off with. One other thing, to show you in terms of how do you actually combine this with Weave traces. So what's happening here, I can trace into Weave. And that looks something like this. if we open this up, everything that you do here is being logged to Weave. And you see a trace here with different sub-agents here. Like there's 3, and you can see, okay, it's trying to launch 2 sub-agents in parallel, and then there's a bunch of steps happening inside of these sub-agents here. It's thinking again, it's launching another agent. And this is very important enough for you to understand only what's going on, but then to optimize on it. And there's a bunch of other things that I could show you here, and please come to us to learn more about how to do attribution, invocation, different kind of types of evaluation, especially when it comes to multi-turn, because that's where it gets more complicated to actually evaluate, because you need potentially a synthetic user or something to simulate these multiple turns. But in any case, this is important because it allows you to also optimize more easily your system with our MCP and our skills. And this is just a very quick example here, but the other thing that, of course, you only have 9 hours, which is not so much, so you don't want to do all the optimization yourself manually. And so, just to give you an example, let's dive into another window here. And this here is just something I ran yesterday, and then you can see the new goal scale. Again, it's kind of like an anthropic pitch, but it's just easy to use. So let me open this up, make it a bit bigger. Who has used goal before? Okay, some people, yeah. It's basically just the easiest form of like self-optimization loop where you set an objective, like in this case, please improve the accuracy of, in this case, a hiring agent by changing the prompt until you meet a condition. In this case, you beat the fine-tuned baseline model here. And the cool thing about it is then it goes off, optimizes the prompt, and it can use our MCP to actually talk to weights and biases, look at the trace, see how it changed, look at the benchmarking and so on. And so I would recommend to start off with, instrument your whatever system you're going with to log these traces, and then try to set up, if you can, some kind of benchmark. And that's looks something like this here inside of Weave, where you have an eval here, and I can select a bunch of examples here and compare them just so that you see how it works. And then in this case, you see that I have a bunch of metrics that we're optimizing for, and the key one in this case that I was trying to beat was a pass rate of the reasoning score. And then you see how this automatically improved from 35% to 85 without me doing anything. And what it did actually, it iterated over a couple of versions here by iterating on the prompt. And this is the actual prompt that goes into, in this case, the specific hiring agent. So this is something, it might take a while to set up, but I would definitely start with the tracing part, which is very easy to start because we have an integration with something like, as Uma said, the Claude Agent SDK. So you just pip install Weave, and then you import any kind of package, and then we automatically patch it and trace it for you. Or you add yourself some decorators that's super easy to use. So just have a look at the docs, or ask me or Uma. And then if you want to go one step further, try to create a simple benchmark. And then once you have that, you can just go inside of any kind of Claude agent and basically just go into your MCP settings here. And then you see here we have the weights and biases MCP. There's 20 different tools that allow you to automatically look at your different metrics there. And once you set that up, then the optimization actually will be much better. So a lot of steps, but definitely feasible, I think, with modern coding agent tools. And yeah, I think let's go back to the quick start links here so everyone knows where to get started. Let me share them too. Yeah. So this is important links here. Here we go. Oh yeah, one call out. We give up to $100 of inference credits. So if you want to use our serverless gRPO or SFT or inference, then you can use these credits for that. So feel free to just fill out this form and come to us if you need more, and then you can use our inference to optimize your models if you want to, or use open source models. Great, cool. A lot of content. If there's any questions, feel free to see us. And otherwise, super happy to see so many people here, and we're looking forward to what you will be building. Thank you.
Thank you guys, and as they mentioned, the information will be released on the event page in the general event information panel. I'm here to introduce our panel and introduce Frito. So in California, I am actually a Boston native and I'm constantly surrounded by some really strong talent, but I am a very firm believer that Boston is just as strong. Great example of which, Frito, here to introduce our panel.
For the nice words. So I'm Frito. I'm helping to coordinate Sundai with many other people. And I have one, maybe raise your hand if you're part of Sundai or you came once before. So we have many people, but I have one big problem. My friends, they're leaving to SF more often than I like, as soon as they raise money. So we invited 4 people who are trying to make Boston an ecosystem for founders and push Boston closer to SF. So please come up stage, Stephanie, Sabrina, Rob, and Nina. So Rob, please come up stage as well. Maybe we can collect them. So I will make a quick introduction. Stephanie is leading the Open Accelerator. It's a partnership between Open Accelerator, Redshift, and IBM. And they're trying to push startups in the fall with their own accelerator. And they are great connected in the Boston ecosystem and are mainly focused on giving founders access to their ecosystem. With Sabrina from Mass AI Hub, they're trying to make communication between different AI players in Mass. And we have Nina, who pushes women in AI, especially in Boston. And I hope Rob is also coming on stage. Rob leads the TNT. They are famous for having a lot of credits. Sundai is always a little jealous of them, how much credits they have for the teams. So maybe you have a microphone. We'll make a quick round. Please introduce yourself and what you do for Boston, for the ecosystem, for founders, please.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Frito. So Stephanie, as Frito said, we have created what we call the Open Accelerator. It's over in Fort Point, over by Seaport area, and it is a collaboration between Massachusetts AI Hub with Sabrina and her team over there, with Red Hat. Are folks familiar with Red Hat? Yeah, all right, awesome. Awesome, I'm glad to hear it. And with IBM. IBM Ventures is a funding arm. And I'd say in super fast terms, we have a whole lot of people, some of whom are here, and we're super excited to see some IBMers and some Red Hatters here. But we spend, oh, perfect. Thanks, Gabriella. So every day, we're out there with enterprise customers, helping them deploy AI, run AI, manage their data centers, deal with regulatory and compliance challenges. At Red Hat alone, we have about 23,000 people that do that every day all over the globe. Our goal here, and our entire C-suite sits down at Fort Point and Seaport. We want to lean in and share what we know, what we see, who we know, with all of those startups that are working to build AI and may one day want to deploy in an enterprise environment. Simply by sharing what we know and learning from what all of you are doing, we think we can help startups go from not only idea to prototype and MVP, but all the way to scalable business impact faster. And at the baseline, that's the goal. So we've been doing a number of things around reaching out to the community. We have a monthly hackathon series. We've been doing some things with Sundai, of course. We've been giving talks out there and meetups and things. Our next hackathon will be June 27th over at our Fort Point office. It will be a Build an Agent Day, so we hope to see some of you over there on that. And we just announced earlier this week that we are going to have a residency program. So a 16-week cohort-based residency program for startups to come in, spend 16 weeks with us, and we hope to accelerate folks from MVP stage all the way to product market fit. Applications are open on our website for that, and I couldn't agree more about the talent here in Boston. The talent is unbelievable in AI, and I think what you'll hear from all of us is our goal is all the same: help that talent make a difference in Massachusetts, in the world around AI, because this technology is something like we've never seen before. The potential is unbelievable.
Well said. Sabrina Mansour, I'm the director of the Massachusetts AI Hub, and the state is made an investment, $100 million investment in this ecosystem, right? They really do believe in the AI innovation, of course, that we have here, the talent that we have here. And what we do is look for opportunities to partner. So an example is this public-private partnership between Red Hat and the Massachusetts state, really through the AI Hub. In being able to seed innovation here. We also do grant funding for early stage seeding innovation to companies looking to scale here in Massachusetts. And we run a number of talent and workforce development programs. We're coordinating around data. We've partnered with the institutions around compute and are making a portion of that available to the ecosystem as well. And congratulations to Sundai on 125 acts. It's amazing. And to Frito and Gabriella specifically, that's extraordinary.
I'm Nina Rabuju. I'm here representing a small but growing organization, a nonprofit organization called Women Applying AI. I see one Women Applying AI founding member, Beth McKeon, but basically our mission is really to help empower, but also educate women in this area to help them not only just grow their skills, but really to shape the space and you know this whole era. I am personally interested in this entire sort of like agentic orchestration theme because as we're just leaving graduation period right now, as I saw quite a few of the graduates just walking to get their diplomas or shake hands, I kept thinking, and the skills are changing as you're taking the next step. But what we're really hoping to do here really with Women Applying AI, and this is where we come in, we offer workshops, webinars, and we are expanding our chapters now. We have like 2,000 members and we're expanding to New York City, North Carolina, Beth, maybe I'm missing another one, but, and we do have also just face-to-face get-togethers, local get-togethers, but the goal really is to just help more and more women, half of the globe probably, or maybe a little bit more, just not only just lead and learn and collaborate, but also to shape AI.
Hey everyone, my name is Rob. I founded and run an organization called TNT. We are both a community as well as an accelerator for MIT and Harvard founders. So we do a lot of things to help curate good groups, things like co-founder matching, build nights, helping with hackathons where we can, as well as giving resources to students. I think it's much different to start a company as a student because there are different considerations that you have to have, and so we try to help people navigate that. We do some programming beyond just MIT and Harvard. I think a big theme that you probably would hear from everyone is we need more high quality, high velocity events where you're able to meet lots of good people. That's what's going to lead to more co-founders, more interactions, and more good things happening in this ecosystem.
Thank you so much, Rob, and to the rest of the panelists. I hope everybody sees there's a lot of moving parts in Boston, and we try to push together more for founders, the ecosystem. But maybe, what do you think is currently missing in Boston? What can we do to close the gap to SF? Maybe we can start with Stephanie, okay?
Yeah. Perfect. So we started this work back in October, and we've spent a lot of time talking and listening. I will say, I'm a Massachusetts native. I was born and raised here in Massachusetts. I went to college here. I worked around and came back. Since taking this role, I am blown away by the amount of efforts, like the ones on stage, the ones across MIT, Harvard, Holt. We have a lot of efforts. We go to hackathons and events. It's not coordinated. There's a lot of things that people don't see across the bridge gaps, across the VC communities, across the accelerators that are happening. I think one of the things that we could do better here in Massachusetts is to provide visibility and more openness around how we collaborate. For example, what we do at the Open Accelerator with the expertise we have at Red Hat is very different from what the engine provides to startups. If we engage with a startup and they're better off to go to the engine, we should be providing that guidance right? We should be providing the guidance for the best VC who can support them, the best accelerator who can support them. The end goal is the same. I feel like we just, right now, there's a lot of silos and not a lot of visibility. So creating a community, sharing, right? Our goal is to help, direct people to where they can get the best effort and the best skills to help them. So for me, it's breaking down the silos because there's a lot of amazing work going on.
I 100% agree with that, right? I think we get a vantage point, right, where we see so much of the work that's happening. And when we have those conversations, round tables, et cetera, right, that belief is not something that's shared around the table. And then they learn about, the different things going on, right? Holt had a pitch competition. My kids went to an AI competition and like, they're 11 years old, right? Like, but nobody knows about that. And nobody knows about, the accelerator that you just launched and open applications are open, right? This week. And it's just being able to tell stories. And I think there's some great grassroots efforts like the MAI Coalition with the 100-day stories I see, or just being able to tell our stories a little bit better and get that through the noise. There's a lot of noise. So just believe in what's possible here.
Not a whole lot to add, but that visibility is incredibly crucial at women applying AI. Of course, we are actively just trying to expand a little bit more of that, but I want to just really thank the local channels, the engine, of course. If it weren't for Boston Tech Week, of course, A16Z and all the other sponsors, but I think that we're trying. We just need to try faster and better.
Yeah, I think a lot of good points you already hit on. I think the one I would say for everyone in this room is agency is an amazing thing. You can really just go do something, go start something, now with AI more than ever, especially in real life, because things like this are what connect people. A lot of people come up to me and say, I have this niche interest, whether it's in robotics or healthcare. There are a lot of other people out there, especially in this room, who probably have that interest. You could try putting on an event, making a post. Nobody's gonna know unless you put yourself out there, and that's what's gonna create these spaces for the right connections to happen.
Thank you so much. I think I agree with all panelists. To close the panel, I always like to close on a positive note. Maybe we can have a quick note from everybody, what you're looking forward or what you see happening in Boston, what you make happy or exciting about the future.
I'll jump in. I'm excited about this question. I think we have extraordinary talent and really very deep, like sector expertise, like in life sciences and robotics, right? And this wave of AI, right, is now we're pivoting into these deep applications, and we're going to be seeing these really start to scale. So I'm so excited for them.
I think for me, this is all about momentum and creating a flywheel. All of you are part of that right now. When I ask people, what's in San Francisco that's not in Boston? It's one of the first things that comes up is, well, every time you go to a coffee shop, someone's talking about the startup they did, or someone's talking about the startup they did that failed. And all of that helps bring that flywheel of people thinking about taking agency and going to build something. That's all in our control. We have the opportunity to create that here. So for me, it's about how do we collectively kickstart that flywheel, talk about it more, engage more, show up more. Now's the time. Now's the time. I feel like all the things that Mass AI Hub is doing, that we're seeing happen in academia, now is the time to make this happen.
Yeah, I will say one thing, and without really mentioning the names of cities in particular, I do travel for a living as well for my full-time role in a private company. And I will say to all of you here, I do think also that we are part of a bubble, San Francisco, Boston, New York, LA, because when I travel sometimes to some cities, the first thing that I wonder if there's a meetup that I can attend, or there's something happening here. And there are quite a few cities where nothing is happening. So I'm really excited about the fact that we started this already. We're planting the seed. It needs to be more collaborative. It needs to be more exciting, but it needs to be for everyone. Just absolutely everyone, everywhere.
I would say one thing is just the awareness of what's possible. So many people feel like you need to move to SF to build, but the spotlight is increasingly on startups and these companies that have scaled here. So Whoop is a great example, but there's also Suno, Formlabs, Tulip, Blitzy, and they're becoming more and more engaged with the community, which means there's more opportunity to know and learn that. So I think there's going to be more unicorns built in Boston, and there's some that are moving to SF. But just being aware, as hopefully you guys are becoming, that you can actually build here and scale here is a huge thing for Boston.
Thank you so much, Rob, and all panelists. And you guys will stay. If you're excited about the Boston ecosystem, please talk to the panelists. We are all very approachable and excited about Boston, so please talk to us if you have anything on your mind. And thank you so much for this amazing panel. Now we can give the mic to Gabi, leading you through the hack.
Well, thank you so much, and also Ryan from the AI Coalition. He couldn't be here in the morning because he just had a baby. So, but he's gonna be here in the afternoon. The AI Coalition is led by Wu, Lovable, and a lot of startups here, and they are like creating this amazing, literally coalition of a lot of startups, VCs, legal firms, like everything. To put a lot of resources, like founder meetings, parties, like GPU crates, like a lot of things. So he's gonna be here in the afternoon as well. So you can see that there is like all stakeholders like trying to put this really cool. With the Tech Week, I think that has been awesome. So now, like we are close to kick off the hack, and Andrew, one thing that we do always in Sunday is like kick off, like learning what's the latest thing of AI. It moves so fast. And we are like so lucky to have Andrew. He spends like I think 50 hours per week learning what is happening in the AI news. So yeah, very cool to have him, and thank you. Yeah, tell us.
Thank you, Gabby. I am also not only going to do the news today, but also tell you a little bit about Sunday, so you know sort of like the vibe of what to expect here. So as has been mentioned a few times before, we've been doing a hack every single week for 125 weeks straight. I've been coming since about week 40, so I've been here for a while now. What the Sunday sort of like ethos is, even though today is technically a hackathon, there's prizes at the end. But we mostly do hacks, is what we call them. And so a hack is actually not the we're breaking the Wi-Fi kind of hack and hacking into systems, but rather it comes from the original meaning, which actually came from the MIT Train Club, which is just like an ingenious way of doing something. So you could imagine instead of trying to over-engineer something, make something super robust, just make it work, is the ethos of what we're trying to do here. And move very quickly. We're not engineers. That's not what we're building today. We're not building scalable systems. We're here to make something that works and that gives demonstrable results by the end of the day at all costs. So yeah, with Sunday, our goal is to build something meaningful. We don't want to just build like vibe-coded apps that we throw away immediately the next day. We want stuff that lasts, that people actually use and are interested in long term. We also want to grow the best hackers. At Sunday, we have a lot of education platforms. I talk about the AI news every week. We also have a large cohort of Sunday members that go and teach classes at Harvard and MIT and also do workshops as well. And then finally, we want to spread the hacker mindset. We want to continue to grow the community and make it even bigger. We're trying to expand beyond MIT. We have a bunch of hacks that happen in South America, for instance. We've done stuff in Europe. We have a large contingent of Sunday members that have left Boston to go to SF because we've grown them too well. So we'll probably start having hacks in SF soon in the future as well. So yeah. So yeah, just so you know, for today, none of us are getting paid to do any of this. So we're all volunteers. We're all friendly and nice. But do expect a little bit of chaos throughout the day. It's not everything isn't going to move perfectly smoothly, but we've done this a lot, so we know that everything will happen and get done successfully by the end. And then also, just so you know, today we expect you to be open sourcing everything. This helps a lot when you're in teams. There's no worries about like, oh, it's my code or their code. It's open source. It's everyone's code. If you want to go and take your project that you worked on today and make it closed source later on, you can feel free to do so. There's nothing stopping you from that. But for today, please open source everything. You can also see all the projects we've previously worked on here at Sunday if you want inspiration on our website, sunday.club. We will not be using that today for any of the Sunday Club regulars. We'll be using AGI House's pitch for the end of the day. But yeah, if you want to go and see our, I think at this point, thousands of Sunday projects that we've worked on, you can go check them out there. And so yeah, if you want to get more involved in the Sundai community, join the Discord. That is where all of our communication happens. That's where you'll find a lot of us going and talking about all the latest model releases as they happen, any research, anything like that. You'll see that all there. It's also where we host all of our meetings. So if you're trying to become a more core hacker, you're trying to help shape the club, be one of the volunteers that helps manage everything and make all these hacks. We have those meetings on Tuesdays at 8:30 in the Discord. And then if you want more of sort of AI news and sort of like applied, like what are we doing for our workflows, how are we doing all that? We have AI Tools Club, which is run by myself. That's also Tuesdays at 5 p.m. on the Discord. You can feel free to remote in from anywhere on our, and talk about what you're working on, ask any questions that you have for how to use AI. And yeah, and then finally, we have Hacker Combinator, which Frito, is Frito in the room? Yeah, you want to talk about Hacker Combinator, Frito?
No, it's occasional over. But we really at Sunday we run also accelerator for more technical people for our members 8 weeks in the summer.
So yeah, and with that, we can go to Andrew with the AI news. Normally, I just do the AI news every day, but today I get to do a little bit more. Where's our cat?